Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited for today's video. I'm finally sharing with you my favorite products that I have tried thus far in 2021. I do have 15 products to share with you guys today. Couldn't narrow it down to 10. Are we even surprised? So if you guys are interested in seeing my top 15 products that I've tried so far in 2021, stay tuned. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel and you like project planning content or just chit-chatting about makeup, I would love if you would consider subscribing before moving on. And other than that, let's jump into the video. Also, no surprise, the second I sit down to film, they're like landscaping and cutting grass and doing whatever, and it's really noisy. So if you're hearing buzzing sounds, I'm sorry. They're like leaf blowing or doing something outside. Alright you guys, I don't even know where to begin. Not all of these products were released in 2021. Some of them were, some of them I just tried for the first time in 2021. But I do have 15 plus products to share with you guys today. And I don't know where to start. And it's really bothering me that they're so loud outside. Like, come on. Okay, we're downstairs to get a truly lemonade. So hopefully they're done with this quickly, because it's 5 o'clock somewhere means it's 5 a.m. somewhere, right? Because it's 9:20 here, so I'm already like 4 hours past, like 9:20 a.m. 4 hours past when I can start drinking, right? Cheers. Now I'm out of breath. I'm like, okay. Let's just start with this stack of products that kind of makes this video like 15 plus products. So my first favorite that I have tried in 2021 is just like the Nabla baked formulas. I have the skin glazings and then the skin bronzing I just thought I would throw in as well. The skin bronzing, I have the shade Ambra, and I have been raving about Nabla all year long. Nabla in general is just like a favorite of 2021 for me. Just the entire brand. I've really loved everything that I can try, at least everything that I've tried, at least that I can think of. I promise this is my first truly of the day. So the skin bronzing I love because it almost offers just like a bronze sheen. I have been opting for a glowier, but not too glowy, base. And I've really been just not liking matte products in general. I've never liked matte foundation. But even my complexion products, so my bronzer, blush, and obviously highlight typically isn't matte, but my bronzer and blush even, like I have been opting for something that's gonna offer me even more of like a glow rather than something that is matte. So that is why I love this, because it's not super shimmery. It's not even as glowy as like the Hourglass bronzer, but it just offers like a healthy bronze to the skin, and I think it's so beautiful. If I didn't say, I personally have the shade Ambra, which I think is the second lightest, but I'm just a huge fan. It's a baked formula, so it's so beautiful. I also have two of these skin glazing in like highlight shades for me. So I have the shade Ozone, which is this shade right here. I will try and pop in swatch clips for you guys. We'll see how far I go with that. But I have Ozone, and then I also have Privilege, which is more of like a peachy pink, which is just like my absolute favorite. You guys can tell, like I've already worn away a pretty significant chunk of the Nabla like imprint on these, so clearly I'm a huge fan of these. And then I also have, I thought I had 4 of the blushes. So I have Lola, Independent, Truth. So Lola is a really beautiful like watermelon sort of shade almost. I think it is absolutely stunning. Next up we have Truth, which is my absolute favorite shade of all of them. It's just, it kind of reminds me of NARS Orgasm or Becca Flower Child. It's just this really beautiful like almost pinky gold sort of blush shade. Then we have Independence, which is a shade that I feel like I'm going to absolutely love come the fall winter, because it is more of like a mauve-y toned shade. It's just a little bit deeper, but again with the Nabla skin glazings, they offer this really beautiful flush to the cheek that it's glowy and it's not just totally matte. I love the Nabla baked formula. I think the skin glazings are beautiful. You guys know I've been raving about them all year, so obviously I highly recommend them. And then the other product that I have multiples of, this is the final product in this video that I actually have multiples of, but this is the Lawless Forget the Filler Plumping Lip Gloss. and I think this is so beautiful. So I started out with the original, and what I love about this formula is it is not painful at all. There is a slight mint sort of sensation, but nothing intense at all. So it doesn't hurt the lips, and it really just makes them look so juicy and smooth. Sometimes I feel like I have really like liney lips. Like I just feel like my lips do not look smooth at all. I always have chapped and dry lips as well. With the Lawless Forget the Filler, it just really makes your lips look smooth. I also love the doe foot applicator on this. It has a bit of a curve to it, and you can really just get so much product on the actual applicator, and it just glides on so beautifully. So I loved the original so much that when they released 2 additional shades to the line, I had to pick them up. So I also have Daisy Pink, which is a really beautiful, just kind of baby pink color. And then I also have the shade Velvet, which again, I think is gonna be beautiful for the fall winter time. A little bit deeper, more of like a wine colored shade. Love these all. Highly recommend Lawless Forget the Filler. They are expensive at $25, but for me personally, I think that they are worth it. Okay, let's go back to some of the products that I've had in my collection the longest. I have been raving about the Milani Chill Out Primer all year. This claims to be a soothing primer and has wild oat extract, ceramides, and is silicone free. However, this is so smoothing. I was so surprised by this. I kind of purchased this on a whim. I was dealing with a ton of mask acne at the time, and I was just hoping that this would be a primer that would just calm my skin down. That was really all I was looking for out of this primer, but this does such a nice job of smoothing out the skin and has a slight cooling aspect to it as well, and my skin just loves it, loves this. I love the way that makeup lays on top of this, and I think this is such a beautiful primer. This is definitely going to be a repurchase for me. I've said a couple times on my channel, but I do believe this is going to replace my First Aid Beauty Pores Be Gone primer, just because I feel like they do kind of the same thing, but I prefer this one and it's cheaper, so highly recommend that. Also from Auric, I have their Glow Lust. So many people have been raving about this product and including this in their favorites, and for good reason. This is just a product that I love. I love the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter as well, and really what I love about this is days that I am not looking to wear foundation, but I just want to even out my skin tone, I will wear this or the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, and it does really even out the skin tone. Like, it's more than just an illuminating primer. It really does even the skin tone out and almost acts as like the most sheer coverage foundation in my collection. I think it is so beautiful. I personally have the shade Selenite in this, and I have been a huge fan. It took me a while to actually get around to testing this out. I was doing that thing where I knew I spent a lot of money on this and I knew I would probably end up liking this, so I was like putting off trying this, but I have been such a huge fan of this. This is something that I would continue to repurchase, and obviously I do recommend. And then also, this has been in my collection, I believe, since January. This is from Nomad Cosmetics, and this is their Sydney Bathers. This is the Kiss of Sun face palette, and I hope you'll be able to tell it has basically 3 highlights in here, and then I believe this is a matte bronzer. I think it's matte. It looks matte on the skin, but it almost doesn't look matte in that it still, I feel, just adds this health to the skin that I have just been craving. I absolutely love this bronzer. I reach into this bronzer or reach into this palette all of the time just for this bronzer, but I do still like the highlights as well. I like that you kind of have like a glowy bronzer, or at least this is a glowy bronzer on me, so this really deep bronzy highlight shade. Then you kind of have a mid-tone sort of champagne, and then you have this really beautiful pink. I don't think it's coming across on camera as pink, but it is this beautiful, beautiful pink highlight, which I love me a good pink highlight. So I've been a huge fan of this palette. I picked this up so that I could reach a shipping threshold and get free shipping, which normally I would probably regret a purchase like this, but this has been one of my favorite purchases of 2021. Moving on to another sip of Truly. Let's move on to this, because I actually started testing this in 2020, but really fell in love with this in 2021, and I really just couldn't not include this in this video. So this is from Daniel Sandler, and this is their Watercolor Gel Cheek Color. I have mine in the shade Nectar, which is this really beautiful neutral peach shade, but it's so light that if you add this to the cheeks, it almost just looks like you pinched your cheeks a little bit, It does not add a super intense pigmented flush at all, which sometimes I really enjoy because I can go super heavy-handed sometimes, not purposefully, but just end up looking like I have clown cheeks. I also love this for creamer liquid blushes that are a little bit more pigmented or more intense than I would prefer. I mix this with it to kind of neutralize it or just tone down those super richly pigmented cream and liquid blushes in my collection, and I love this. I hope I said, but the shade is Nectar. This is something that I continually reach for, will repurchase. There's like a part of me that's like, girlfriend, like you need to slow down on that product because you're gonna have to replace it, but like also I just love it, so why would I stop myself from using it? Highly, highly, highly recommend if you feel like this is a shade that would work for you and you're just starting out in cream and liquid blushes and they kind of intimidate you. I recommend this just because it's such a forgiving shade and just so easy to use. I think the formula is very easy to use. It's really, really blendable, and I'm such a fan of this. I picked mine up on Look Fantastic. I don't know what other retailers sell Daniel Sandler, but so happy with this purchase. I have 2 powders to include, and normally a powder is like neither here nor there, kind of like concealer for me. Like I'm picky about them, but also even like my favorites, I'm not like so excited about it that I feel like I just have to shout it out. But truly, one of these I am like so excited about. Both of them really, I love. So up first, this is a total Samantha March made me buy it. It's the Dior Powder No Powder, and I have mine in the shade 2 Neutral. This is so beautiful because it's not like a translucent powder. It really just blurs out the skin. I love this all over my face, and I love that it is a shade that like matches my self tan. Sometimes I'll put powder on and I feel like it just looks a little bit off, and this is just so freaking beautiful. It isn't totally matte where it like takes the life out of your face too, like some powders can, and I have just been such a huge fan of this powder. I've definitely been shying away from loose powders, which used to be more my jam, and now I'm like all about the pressed powder. So I've been a huge fan of this. I know it's expensive, but I do feel like you get a large pan. I don't actually know, like in terms of product, do you get a ton of product? Is it a super thin pan? But I've been super impressed with this thus far. And then the one that I am like just over the moon in love with is very new to my collection, but like honestly one of my favorite purchases of the year, and it's the Covergirl Clean Fresh powder. I have mine in the shade 140 Light, and I've been looking for a pressed powder one, again, that's kind of like more of a skin tone color for me rather than being just translucent, that I wanted to use all over my face, that was going to give me just like a healthy sort of glow rather than, again, making my face look super matte. Kind of like a pressed powder version of like the Hourglass loose powder that I just won't buy anymore because I just honestly cannot with Hourglass. This is so beautiful. So I do think this is a powder foundation, but I just use it like as a finishing powder or as a setting powder. And it, first of all, the shade, I do feel like this oxidizes a little bit, so keep that in mind as you're choosing a shade. I feel like the shade works well for me when I have a tan, which I really do like, because a lot of my powders, again, are more just on the very like translucent or very light side, and this just works for me when I have a self tan, so it doesn't look as off. This is something that like if my makeup is not coming out how I want, I will put this over top and it just evens everything out and fixes everything. It makes my skin look like it has just the healthiest glow, which is like my absolute favorite finish. I don't know how, like I don't know how, but it just makes my skin look so glowy and beautiful. I am obsessed with this powder, truly obsessed. I dropped it the other day and it cracked a little bit. I was ready to literally drive to Target the second after I dropped it to replace this. I'm not even being dramatic. Like, I looked up at my husband and I was like, oh shoot, I might have to run to Target really quick before we go to the beach. And then I was like, oh, it's fine. Like, it's fine. I was able to just like press the top, but highly recommend if you're looking for a powder that does not make you look super flat. It's so beautiful. Okay, I feel like I'm making this the longest ever. Okay, the Bareminerals Blonzer. It's limited edition, so I feel really guilty even including this. I have mine in the shade Kiss of Copper. I, again, have just been loving a glowier face, a glowier cheek, so a glowier blush. I think this is really beautiful. I don't use this as a blush bronzer, which is what it's marketed as. I use this just as a blush, but I love it because it kind of gives the effect of like a sunburn, which is my favorite thing ever. I love to like put this all over my nose, and I just think it's so, so pretty. So if you can still get your hands on this, and you like a sunburnt glowy cheek, I think this is so pretty. And then speaking of blush, but not a glowy blush, this is a matte blush. This is the Lawless Angel Suede. So the Lawless Velvet Blush in the shade Angel Suede. Picked this up during the Sephora VIB sale. I was interested in this blush when it released last year, but was like, no girlfriend, like hold off. I love this. I was worried this was gonna be super, super pigmented and just not easy to work with, but this actually is not that pigmented. It's very buildable, which I actually have really been preferring a more buildable everything, just because it gives you more control over your look. I love to layer this with Nabla Truth to add that extra glow, but the shade and just like the tone of this blush, I have been living for it. And like, this is a product that I'll put it back in my drawers and then I like go reach for it rather than reaching for the stuff in my my stash rotation, because I love it so much. So definitely recommend checking these out. I know Lawless is a more expensive brand, but I really enjoyed that. Another new product to my collection, this is from Huda Beauty's Glowish line. This is the Soft Radiance Bronzing Powder. I have mine in the shade 3 Tan Light. Again, I have been opting for that healthy glow sort of complexion. So I was looking for a bronzer that was going to add a little bit of a glow rather than be super matte. What other bronzer did, oh, I was talking about the Nabla bronzer. So kind of similar to the Nabla bronzer, this adds just sort of like a sheen rather than being super, super glowy, rather than being like a highlighty sort of bronze tone shade. I just think it looks so natural on the skin too. This is very, very buildable. It's not going to offer you a ton of pigment. I was a little bit nervous just because of like the marbled sort of formula of this. Like, was it going to look super patchy? But I just think it looks so natural every single time I use this. If I'm opting for a lighter coverage look, like if I'm going in with a tinted moisturizer and maybe doing more like cream products, sometimes I'll just layer this on top of everything because I love to be bronze. And I'm not saying like all over my face, I'm saying like where I would normally put bronzer, but I'll just add this because it just adds just a little bit something extra. And again, it's very natural looking in my opinion, and I've been a huge fan of this. The NARS Sex on the Beach, Orgasm on the Beach face palette. There is something about NARS face palettes that I love. I feel like everybody just hates on the NARS face palettes, and I get like they put the same shades in over and over and over again, but this does not look the same as my NARS Overlust palette, and I have been such a fan of this. At first, so this is something that I thought about my purchase for weeks, but I could not get this palette out of my mind. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna allow myself to buy this because I can't stop thinking about this. I was like, I'm not going to get use out of these two shades likely, but still it was worth it to me to buy this just for the 4 shades. I love these. These might be my 2 favorite shades in the entire palette. First of all, you can sheer this out or you can build this up to have pigment if you have a deeper complexion, but this is like my absolute perfect suntanned blush. And it's glowy and beautiful and I just adore it. And then this is such a beautiful bronzy blush, and I love me a bronzy blush too. And then I just absolutely adore like the pink and the gold, and these 2 highlight shades work super well for me as well. So I mean, I don't really care what you guys have to say. I love this. Highly recommend this. All right, I just have 3 products to wrap it up with. This next one is another new one to my collection, but from the moment I used this, I couldn't put it down, and I knew this was just a love. This is from Lisa Eldridge. And it's the Seamless Skin Elevated Glow. I don't know, Elevated Glow I think is the shade that I have. This is the most beautiful, natural looking liquid highlight I have ever crossed paths with. I cannot get enough of this. I use this just about every single day, whether I'm wearing makeup, whether I'm going bare face, full face, light cover, whatever it might be. This is on my face because it is so freaking beautiful. This is more expensive at $38, and it's my first product that I've tried from Lisa Eldridge, but I'm so impressed and so happy with this. It just gives almost that like you just left the gym and you have that like workout sort of glow to your skin. Not like sweaty, but like that healthy I just got done with like a great workout. It's so pretty. You guys cannot like, if you've been considering, like, it's just that you have to do it. And then I just have 2 foundation products to finish up with. I do have a ranking video coming, ranking my entire like tinted moisturizer slash light coverage foundations coming up, and I'm going to have a repeat product. So keep your eye out for that if you're interested. But the product that's a repeat product is this one from Nabla. Again, Nabla. Nabla, can't stop raving about them on my channel, but honestly, their Skin Revitalist Beautifying Tinted Balm, I can't stop wearing this. I wore this we had like a very important work visit yesterday, and I was like, what am I gonna wear for my foundation so that it like lasts all day, but isn't too much, but still looks beautiful. And I wore this because it offers such a beautiful light medium coverage, but lasts all day and like looks good all day long. I was so happy, like even towards the end of my day, like my skin was still looking good. I do have mine in the shade Too Light. I wish I kind of had one shade deeper. This one is a little bit light for me when I'm self-tanned, such as I am now. But I can make it work, and I just think this is so pretty. It just gives the most natural skin-like finish to the skin, and like, just like, you can add glowy it's like, it truly is just like a natural skin-like finish. It just looks like your skin. It's not heavy. It's so freaking beautiful. Highly recommend this. And then to finish it off, I've also been such a huge fan of the NYX Born to Glow Naturally Radiant Foundation. I really was not interested in this foundation until I heard Angie say that this was a potential dupe for the Armani Neo Nude foundation, which is an absolute favorite foundation of mine. So I was like, you know what, I need to test it out, see if they're similar. I do think they're similar. I don't think they're the exact same, but I really love this. It does just give a very naturally radiant finish to the skin, and I would say this is a really nice medium coverage. Like, it's definitely more than a light coverage. I've never really tried to build it to a full just because I prefer like a light to medium coverage foundation, but it is like glowy without being like too dewy, and I just love this. I think it's $12. You do get your standard fluid ounce. I have mine in the shade Soft Beige, which works pretty well for me when I have a self tan. And again, lasting power on this, super impressed with. I think that if you're a dry skin type of a gal and you like a natural, little bit radiant finish, I think you would love this. I've been so impressed. I've had so many good like foundation finds this year, but these are definitely like 2 of my absolute favorite standout staples. And that is going to wrap it up for today's video, talking about my top 15 purchases of 2021, my favorite products that I have been using the first 6 months of the year. I would love to know, what products are you reaching for the most this year? It could be old products, it could be new products you've tested this year. I just want to know what you're reaching for. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch today's video and for supporting my channel as you always do. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye!